Hi everyone, this is Tim from KanColle Pro Studios. I'm here to review a picture I recently completed of Musashi from KanColle. I wanted to show my sketching abilities, seeing that I am in the process of learning to sketch better into the PC rather than sketching by hand, sketching with paper and pencil, and then scanning into the computer. It's something that I feel would be much more efficient if I would learn to sketch better into the PC and paint from there rather than sketching on paper. It just makes things a little bit easier when it comes to painting. So I got up this morning determined to do a sketch, and I wasn't really sure who I would sketch at the time, if it would be an anime character or if it would be a video game character. But seeing that Zach has been doing the KanColle event for the past week, I decided that I would stick with KanColle, and from there I just kind of went through a few characters in my head that I knew of, and one of the characters that I do know of is Musashi. I don't know a ton about her, seeing that I don't play the game myself, but I listen to Zach talking about the game in general all the time, and Musashi is just one of those characters that I do like her design. She is Yamato's sister, and seeing the fact that I drew Yamato last weekend and I did start the process of painting a picture of her, that it would only be fitting if I drew her sister next. So in this case I did. I started on drawing Musashi. But rather than just showing painting, I figured I would show sketching. So from here, what I did was I first sat down and watched a YouTube video about Yamato class battleships. It was fascinating about history. And I do like learning about the ships and about what they went through, and that's exactly what I learned. Everything about what happened to Musashi, about how she was, what battle she was in, and what made her sink. So once I went through that learning process, then I decided to go and find some pictures of her and go from there. And so I found a good fan art picture, which you probably see is up in the far left corner of my painting that I'm using as a reference. It is a very good picture. I don't know the artist, but I wish I could give them credit. Unless that is unless that's game art, but I'm not sure. It could be just fan art. But either way, it is very good, and I enjoy it. So I use it as my reference. I also picked a reference picture of a pose you probably saw earlier on in the video. That was just a basic pose, which you can see. I start with that. I draw the pose first, and then I start kind of building Musashi from that point. So what I do is I do a very, very rough sketch starting out. And the reason for that is one of the things that I have difficulty with. Now, I don't know, I've seen people that can do this really easily, and I really do envy them. But what I have a problem with is, you can see when I have to zoom in on the picture, you can't see her entire body. I mean, so it's like, how do you know you're getting everything in the right perspective, like in the right, you know, like their head's not too big for a body or something like that. But I've found that when I draw in on paper, that you can see the entire picture in front of you, so it's really easy to get, you know, everything in proportion. When you're drawing into the PC, the problem is that you can see you're zooming in, you're zooming out. It's really easy to get things wrong, to get an arm too short, to get a leg too long, something too wide, something too big, too small, and your proportions can get off very easily, and then it can just mess up your entire picture. But what I've done is I've learned to sketch really rough sketch from the very beginning, just to get everything down, just to get the parts of her outfit in place, just to get her proportions the way pretty close to what I want them to be. In this case, you can see I started out with my initial, I guess, the pose, which was just a really basic sketch pose that I was using as a reference. The problem is that sketch pose and the proportions of the character that I'm working with aren't necessarily exactly the same. In this case, Musashi is, well, her chest is rather large compared to the initial model I was using. And so I have to keep that in perspective, that I am going to make alterations. That's the reason why you'll see when I'm throughout the video that I'll start looking at one thing and then I'll just drop it away. I'll get rid of it, because what happens is if you spend too much time looking at that other picture, sometimes it ends up doing more harm than good. It's good to get your basics down, to get your references down, but from there you just want to free yourself up. Now, one of my problems is I have a tendency to and you can't call it copying, but what I'll do is I will incorporate somebody else's style into my stuff, and that can be a problem at times. You don't want your stuff to look just like somebody else's. You want it to be your own style. So I'll use stuff as a reference, and then I'll make sure I get rid of it. I'll put it to the side. Unless I'm painting, sometimes when I'm painting, if I like the way somebody else's coloring came out, the way they use a certain type of texture or something, I'll use that as a reference. But when I'm drawing, I really need to, like, a lot of times what I've seen in the past is Zach will do a reference picture for me of a pose, and then if I let it sit in front of me too long, I'll actually start almost like incorporating his style of drawing into my style, and I start seeing similarities, and I'm like, oh, it's not that it's bad, it's just that I'm trying to keep my own style here. I don't want to, and unfortunately I have a habit of doing that, just kind of incorporating other people's styles into mine if I look at it too long. So I end up pushing it aside, and then I go from there. But what I do with this picture is that now the only reference I'm using at this point is one that you can't see. It's a figure, a picture of Musashi's figure from, I guess it's Good Smile, and I'm using that on my other computer, and I'm using that as a reference because that gives me a little bit more of an accurate idea of her equipment without all the guns. So what I'll do is I'll just go through, I will do a super rough sketch, and then I go back, I redo all my lines. It is a long process. It's one that probably is a little bit more time consuming than just sketching it flat out, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make my sketch look good, rather than just saying, oh well, I can have tons of flaws, I'll take care of it with paint later. I want my sketches to look good rather than just relying so much on painting. So in this case, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to eliminate a weakness. Now, the other thing is that after I'm done sketching, of course, Zach actually comes in here, he'll look at it, and he'll review, he helps me with the video, and if there's anything really wrong with it, of course, he would point it out. If there was something wrong with the outfit, if there was something wrong with the pose, but he seemed to be okay with it. You can see that one of the things I have, drawing hands is very difficult. I don't know if there's anybody else out there who is yelling at themselves every time they're drawing hands. Me, drawing hands, very difficult. But yeah, I work with it until I get it, and then eventually, yes, I'll paint, and then I'll make things look a little bit better. But I just go through, do all my lines, redo her equipment, see if there's anything I missed, just keep reviewing, undoing, redoing, making things look a little bit better perspective. I leave those long braid things she has until the very end. I still can't figure out what exactly those things are that tie in her hair. Like, there's these little like things that hold her hair. But either way, I'll figure that out later, I suppose. The intention wasn't really to paint this right this moment, so I'm still working on Yamato, but I'm hoping that if there's a demand for it, if people like Musashi, well, I'll consider it. But yeah, please let me know. But either way, that is my picture of Musashi, and I enjoy doing it. She is a very cool character. I really enjoy the outfit, even though there's not much of it, but it was fun to draw, and I'm hoping to do more of these as I go, and I am also working on additional painting videos as we go, and I'm hoping to have those up as well. So, but thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, have a great day.